Speaking of masculine,
Yeah.
Sexy Red recently talked about the most romantic gesture that a man ever made towards her, uh, and I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone who has not seen this. Although, if you heard any of her music or follow her even remotely, this should not come as a shock or surprise. We recently talked about Sexy Red on this channel because there was a small bit of controversy that she drummed up via her Rolling Loud performance because she came out onto the set holding leashes that had men attached to the other ends of those leashes. And so there was this small conversation going on as to whether she is contributing to the emasculation of black men, because there were, of course, black men who were on these leashes that she was parading around the stage. So, providing a little context here, this article says Sexy Red says the most romantic gesture she's received was a robbery. During a recent interview with Montreality, Sexy Red opened up about her love life. More specifically, the Pound Town rapper revealed the most romantic thing a guy has ever done for her. One might expect a story of rose petals and chocolates, but apparently that's just not Sexy style. She shared that the gesture to win her heart above all was, in fact, a robbery. So, I'm not even going to read the quote. I'll just go ahead and play the video. And this is Sexy Red talking about how romantic it was that a guy committed a robbery for her.
The most romantic thing somebody did for me, it was my first boyfriend. I was just in high school. He was a little older than me, and it was Valentine's Day. I'll never forget. He robbed somebody and gave me the money and gave me the bill he stole, and it was just so sweet because he was out of breath and stuff. He's like, "Here, I just got this for you." I was like, "Oh, so sweet. Thank you," because nobody never did nothing like that for me. He stole for me, so I'm like, "Oh, you did that for me, really?" And I know he didn't have it. So the fact that you still made a way and you did what you had to do, that was nice. And it was only $13, but it was nice. And it was a fake Gucci belt. But I was so, it was sweet.
Jeez, oh my God.
Oh, so once again, man, two, two sweet topics in a row. How sweet is that? Tyler Perry telling women to date men who don't make that much money, and Sexy Red talking about how sweet it was that a man robbed for her. See, isn't that nice? We've been
That's crazy.
positive here on the Conscious Approach channel this evening. How about that?
Yeah, how about it, right?
Yeah, man. I could tell by the look on your face that you are in um,
Yeah,
tremendous approval of this for sure.
yeah,
So, why don't you go ahead and expound on your approval of Miss Sexy Red's comments there?
yeah. I wish I did approve of this. This, this, um, boy. You know, I saved it. I saw the headline of this, and I saved my reaction for this, and I'm speechless. Honestly, I don't understand. I didn't see the comment section for this, so hopefully, there was a ratio in the favor of how ridiculous this was. But I'm pretty sure it was more of people laughing with her instead of laughing at her. I'm pretty sure that that ratio was strong. So it's just the state of society, man, of where it's going to be headed, honestly, because the impact of this, although people may think they're feeling it now, they haven't felt it yet. And the hammer for this type of behavior is going to be coming within the next 5 to 10 years. And so people can laugh it off now and think it's a joke now. But in actuality, this is the worst forms of mind control I have ever seen. And this industry plant of a woman who has no talent, outside of being literally a back page woman, she, you know, she's a disgrace. You've mentioned this before and other things, but this is just modern minstrel stuff. and she's literally just jigabooing all over the place with a stack of money in her hand, going everywhere, literally saying the most foul things, you know, shooting freestyles outside of Popeyes. I'm like, what kind of industry thing is this? And the wild part about it is the people that are getting caught up in the wave. Hey, I get it. They have her song playing on every other video on TikTok. So you ain't got no choice but to start yelling all of the little whatevers. You know, they play it on the radio and all this other thing. So the programming is easily accessible. So for one to fall into the trap, I don't blame you. Only thing I'm here to say is it is a trap. And it is set there for you to walk right up in it and think that it's just entertainment. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to see a lot of Sexyy Redd clones. Now, how the hell is that going to look? Lord have mercy. I thought the Nicki Minaj clones were disgusting enough. But if these women start parading around, and imagine the evolved level of this, because this is the evolved level of Nicki Minaj. So what's the next tier? Lord have mercy. How do you feel about this situation, man? Because I can go on for hours about this disgrace. How do you feel about it, bro?
Yeah, you speak of Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is aren't they married? Nicki Minaj's husband is a guy who was convicted of rape.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great.
So I mean, yeah, grape. Sorry about that. Grape. Uh, so I mean, the apple does not fall far from the tree in terms of these acolytes who spawn in the wake of someone who sets the trend. We did so two videos that we did that this reminded me of. A while back, we did a video where Ari Fletcher talked about how, you know, she knows her man loves her when he pulls his gun on her.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, obviously, we applied logic to that conversation because we both found that to be a reprehensible thing to say.
Yes.
But nevertheless, that's a sentiment that is shared amongst a lot of women, particularly women who come from the type of background that she comes from. And then there was another video that we did in which, you know, the Instagram model, she was also on Basketball Wives. I don't know what the hell you call these women because I don't know what they do. But Aisha Diaz talked about how, you know, she has the blueprint for how to hold the fort down for your man whenever he goes away to prison, as if that's a reasonable expectation to maintain, that you are going to have to at some point hold down the fort for your man while he's doing a prison bid. The danger inherent in this kind of dangerous rhetoric, obviously, isn't that there are people who are saying this stuff. It is that these individuals who, in fact, are industry plants, as you so eloquently put it, are made to become popular enough as pop cultural influences that, you know, they can sort of spread the seed into the mentality of regular everyday people who can now be granted permission to believe that a sign of love is actually a show of violence or emasculation. So, you know, newsflash to all of the people out here in the world, especially a lot of you women who ascribe to this kind of mindset. A man who pulls his gun on you is actually an individual who is lacking in manhood and masculinity, not the opposite. It is not necessarily a show of love for him to pull his gun on you. That's ridiculous. Um, Likewise, it should not be a reasonable expectation for you to have a plan in place in order for you to hold down the fort when your guy gets bammed up by going to prison. That shouldn't be a reasonable expectation. That is a manifested construct via the music industry and these various other forms of mind control that has been perpetuated throughout society, convincing particularly younger generations to believe that this is normalized behavior, and it is not. So, you know, follow this stuff if you will. I would advise you not to because it is very dangerous to listen to stuff like this. Um, and, you know, it's getting even more hectic because now you got people out here who are just like from the middle class, growing up in two-parent households. And even these dudes who are well-to-do are out here committing to stunts like this because they think that's what you have to do in order to appeal to today's woman. And that's a serious problem. But don't take my word for it. We can just kind of sit back and watch time fly. And as you said, in the next 5 to 10 years, we can see the fruits of this labor because we are most certainly going to see it. At some point, I would imagine. Well, I believe she already has children, so I can imagine what that household is like. But her and women like her will continue to have children, and they are going to continue to rear children with these types of mentalities. And you can say that we are just kind of blowing smoke or being too serious or taking this too seriously. I would disagree because there's a reason why her song is number one or as highly streamed as it is. There's a reason why when she makes comments like this, she ends up on hotnewhiphop.com or she's getting invited to sit on podcasts or you got people like Drake shouting her out on Instagram. Like these people are actually influencers. And so when you have people like this who have 1, 2, 3 million followers saying the most romantic guy I ever did was commit a robbery for me, you can only imagine how many other people out here in the world who do not have the capacity to think for themselves are going to subconsciously glean this as a type of behavior that they can replicate. And it's going to happen because it always happens because in the world, the stratification of people's mindsets is a real thing. There's a certain percentage of people who understand how to think for themselves and not take things literally, and then you have the majority of the population who does not understand that and actually follows people like this as some sort of leader. So be careful with that stuff. Ladies, I hope you don't think that your man needs to be out here robbing for you. That's crazy. um, and for a lot of you dudes out there who kind of worship this music stuff a little too harshly or a little too hard, um, you know who you are. If you ain't about that life, don't be out here thinking that you need to do goofy shit like this just to get the attention of these botted out women like this, because you don't really have to. Learn how to think for yourself.
Yeah, and that was a good thing you said there about how they're like influencers, because I never really looked at it that way, but now that we have that term and people know what influencers are, we can say that these industries, these labels, they hire influencers not to just push album sales, it's to push ideologies, lifestyles. And they're influencers for lifestyles and ideologies, ways of thinking, ways of moving, ways to spend your money, ways to fall in love, ways to make, how to hustle, step by step, how to make cocaine. And so when they're pushing these things, these labels are literally funding operations on how to get people to think in this stupid ass box. And then you look at the community and it's looking post-apocalyptic because literally there's atom bombs in all of the songs. So
Yeah.
when people go out there and they start living their lives, they literally start acting this madness out. So the danger of Sexyy Redd. So this whole shtick here is dangerous. There's people that are of age enough that should be wise enough to see what's going on here. And if you can't draw the parallels to what happened when you were a child to what they're doing to these generation of kids, you should be alarmed by this type of behavior. This should not be promoted by people in their 30s. I'd be seeing grown ass people talking about it's sexy. It's like, bro, sit down. What's wrong with you? Man, the song, I can't get it out my head. Oh, so you eating niggas ass. Y'all on that. What happens when that part of the song come up, bro? What's going on right now? Men are bumping Sexyy Redd, acting like, talking about it's given. Y'all getting weird, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all letting social media control your vernacular. Now y'all talking like the females in these comment sections, talking like the kids in the comment section. when you look at the comment section, ain't nothing but women and children. And then you see grown ass men mimicking the vernacular of them. It's disgusting what's going on these social media things. And so this is being allowed by everybody. So I'm just here to say, hey man, if you got caught up in the wave, I'm not hating on you. This is a call to action to wake up. This here is mind control 101. This woman can't even think for herself.
Mm-hmm.
She was barely getting out the words to what she had to say to explain this little story. Just like Kodak, either doped up out of their mind or they was in that class with all the small people, the small classrooms. You know what I'm saying? So y'all better be, hey, don't say nobody warned you.
Those are all facts, man. Well, those are all facts. Shouts out again to DJ Cash D. He said, "Future mothers of America." That's the danger. That's the dangerous part about it, though, is that these people, and I've mentioned this before. It reminds me of the Chris Rock joke, where he was talking about being a single dude, and I think he was talking about. And mind you, this was back in like the late 90s. This was like back in 1998, 1999. And I forget whether it was Bigger and Blacker or Never Scared. It was one of those stand-up specials that he did where he was talking about how women are bumping a lot of the words to what was back then salacious content. Stuff like Yin Yang Twins. Yin Yang Twins now pales in comparison to the subjectivism that's going on today. But back then, but back then, to the windows, to the walls, to the sweat drop down my balls was salacious. And Chris Rock was talking about how all of these women are talking about this stuff, rapping along to the words skeet, 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 skeet. And he was saying, and the punchline to the joke was, I feel sorry for the men who have to pick a wife out of this bunch.
Right.
But that's correct though, because and me as a single guy, I'm fearful for myself. I'm fearful for my nephew. He's going to have to, my nephew in particular, maybe not me, I might be safe. But my nephew in particular, my nephew's 13, and he's staring down the barrel of a world in which he has to pick a wife out of a bunch of women who are rapping along the Pound Town. And any other form of shenanigans that are coming out of the words of this vagina rap culture now. And I think the point that we were trying to make when it comes to the whole notion about whether she's contributing to black male emasculation, and at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I was saying, don't come at her as if she created it. She might be perpetuating the notion, but she didn't necessarily create it. It was created by like the entertainment industry and the music industry. And you are believing in this stuff as gospel instead of filtering through it as a form of fictional entertainment. So us believing in that stuff really is on you, bro. It's not on Sexyy Redd. You don't have to listen to her. Like, no one's forcing you to listen to it. But we are so sheepish and we conform so heavily to this stuff that we're going to do it anyway, and we are basically just going to be shepherds to the flock. And that's what you see going on here. But in real time, the trickle down effect is the most worrisome part about it. And the fact that these are people who are listening to stuff like what she has to say, they believe it, and then they're going out and they're emulating the behavior, and then they're having children. And then those children are going to repeat the cycle. That's what causes it to become an issue. So yeah, it's all fun and games now, but 15, 20 years from now, when more women look like her and talk like her, and the men are just completely subservient, getting themselves eaten out, as you said, and all this other stuff, then we'll have to reflect on how worth it was for us to embrace this stuff and worship it the way that we do.
Good luck.
It's weird. Yeah. It's weird, man. But yeah.
Man.
Shouts out to all you dudes trying to show your love to these women by robbing people. Good luck with that. Let me know how it goes. Jesus Christ.
Oh man. 2023.
Oh, industry plant.
Mhm.